So I took down the last video because it was just a meaningless rant. I was just very angry and upset about the forced mandates, which is perfectly legitimate to be upset about. But in addition to that, someone, for some unknown reason, questioning me about where I work and this sort of nonsense, like as if I'm some sort of significant character here. I am a working class, irrelevant peon. And this particular property has a lot of interesting things going on, many sort of secret projects and things and companies mingling with each other that like you wouldn't think would be. There's a lot of defense contractors, Apple, Google, things of that nature. And am I associated with that? Not even in the slightest. I don't even, my existence isn't even acknowledged here. I'm like a total ghost, which I'm totally okay with because this is why I came to work here. Whereas before, and I'm not even kidding about this, I was doing a job that had a lot of similarities to a cop, where I was responding to pretty dangerous situations quite often. Domestic violence, psychotic homeless people, very unpleasant things. And I was like, take me to a quiet place. That I think that they're going to take me here. I've never even heard of this place before. No, but I did see it in a dream too. So could this be some sort of important, you know, place in the future? Possibly because that's what my dream implied, where I saw this underground base, and I was taken like to the surface where there was a couple of men in black type figures who were showing me the sky covered in this orange dust being repaired by some sort of space creatures. Sea, they look like sea creatures, but they were in space. And I saw the moon, what I remembered how it looked like before the Mandela effect. And if anyone wants to see it, I'll share below. Just let me know. It's a very profound, one of the most profound dreams in my life. And it had to do with this location that I'm working at. But yeah, and over the weekend, they do send me other places. I had to work in a Rona testing site. And how is that even relevant? I don't know. You mean like the place where I had to sit from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the baking hot fake white sun, and I was not even allowed to go inside the building to use the bathroom. So important am I. And I had no connection with anybody there. Zero. I didn't talk to any of the people taking tests. I didn't meet with anyone. I was completely alone. And it's the property alone, not what goes on inside the buildings. Not a, and this place has rocket scientists and they have engineers and they have people that actually have brains, unlike myself. So there's no reason to question me. None at all. If anybody wants to give me a hard time, you're being very unreasonable. Okay? So now that I got that out of the way, I finally had a dream last night. And this was a really peculiar and subtle dream. It had a really subtle ambiance to it. It was somewhat, it kind of reminded me of like some kind of old black and white movie, and the colors were similar. It was like darker shades, and it felt like it was the nighttime, but it wasn't black and white, but it was almost like that. And again, this is another dream where I know the location that I am in. Whereas a few weeks ago, I shared a dream where I was in Jerusalem looking for something sacred. And this was again another dream. And this time I was specifically in Istanbul, Turkey. I've never been there. My mom has been there, and she's been to this place I'm going to mention called the Hagia Sophia. And it is an ancient Byzantine church, or was a church, that was built when it was Constantinople. And it is a really beautiful and stunning structure. And it has since been turned into a mosque for like the last 100 years or so. But the point is that this is what I kept asking for in this dream. I kept insisting to see Hagia Sophia. And I was with another individual, a very humble, interesting person who really kind of emitted this beautiful radiance to him. And I don't know, I don't recognize him from this life or anything like that. But he was kind of leading me around to different places around the city. And I remember going around up and down hills and certain staircases and going over bridges. And finally, finally, we stumble upon this structure. And I look at it with awe, and then I start talking to him, and then I wake up. So when I find the structure, I awaken, right? And interesting to me, what's interesting to me is Turkey is definitely relevant in iPad Go 2. The whirling dervish character, the Islamic whirling dervishes, they dance in that particular manner to sort of synchronize their movements with the cycles of the cosmos. So I don't necessarily think that it's that the creators of the cartoon were trying to express the country of Turkey itself, but maybe whirling as in the cosmic cycles. But then again, it's also possible that the mosque that was imploded in the cartoon, it does sort of resemble the Hagia Sophia. And I've actually, over all these years, I thought it was that particular mosque. So it's just things to think about. And just since that dream, I've just been meditating in general on the fact that how we have a tendency to worship God inside structures, how we're in these enclosed structures in our daily lives, where our worship, whereas in times past, for example, the pagans would express their worship outdoors most of the time. And this would include Native American tribes and Vikings and the Greeks as well. And I started to thinking, is there something not quite right with our fascination with worshiping the Almighty inside of an enclosed space? That kind of implies the whole cube structure of Saturn to me. At least that's what it seems like, when it really, in most cases, should be more free and in the open. And I'm not saying like, I'm not trying to say every church should be outside. That would be kind of silly, especially in the winter. What I'm saying is like, we have this over fascination with deifying God with structures. We spend all this time with these massive cathedrals in Milan and Cologne and Notre Dame in Paris and Hagia Sophia and then Mecca in Saudi Arabia. And it's just these massive structures to glorify God, but the massive structure that needs to be worked on is our own hearts. It is our own being. This is what God is looking for more than some kind of glorious building for you to build for Him. What are you building inside yourself is much more important. And the struggle to build something beautiful with endless resistance and powerlessness at times, and it's so hard, it's so discouraging for me and for many others It always feels like it's 10 steps forward and 20 steps back. Quite often it feels that way. But I think, if your intention's in the right place, eventually I think you will get there. And so yeah, it's a really interesting dream, really interesting that I've had these two dreams in the last few weeks about the Middle East. And if anyone wants to see that particular dream about this place that I work at, where I am a working class peon, two steps above um, a minimum wage worker, basically. I have no power. I have no power at all. And if anyone doubts that or questions that, that's your problem. That's your problem. I'm sorry. So that's all I want to say. Um, Hopefully, I'll have more dreams coming or whatever. See you later.